I'm Gary,
I'm Monique.
and we went to Moment of Truth because of a motorcycle.
No!
Well, kind of. So, in our marriage, we've been married for 14 years. Throughout our marriage, we've done a bunch of different courses. We went through a really hard period for the first 7 years of our marriage where we had a lot of struggles involved in that, and we had a lot of hurts and wounds that were still existing from that. And then we came to a point where I was feeling, I'd put it like a shell, because if Monique got angry, I didn't know how to react, and I did a lot of things that would set Monique off because I'm not perfect either. And we had been trying to figure out how do we actually get through this so that we're not having these fights where neither one of us feels good, neither one of us feels like we've won, but they're just happening. And then one of our friends had gone to Moment of Truth and had seen just dramatic results very quickly between her and her husband. And so we figured to give it a try because one of the things, and this is the motorcycle, one of the things that I had wanted was I was really feeling, call it midlife crisis if you will, but I wanted to get a motorcycle. I still kind of do.
No!
I still do. But I really wanted to get a motorcycle because I grew up riding dirt bikes, and there's that sense of freedom when you're riding a motorcycle where you can just let everything else fade away and you just really exist in that moment. And because of work and life stresses, I was really craving that sense of freedom again, where I could just let everything fade away for a while and just enjoy doing something very physical. But I have a history of crashing on things and injuring myself. And so naturally, the idea of me on a motorcycle caused my wife consternation.
Yes.
And we had a lot of discussions that got heated about whether we should get a motorcycle or not, or whether I'd be allowed to get a motorcycle or not. And the moment you say you're allowed to do something, that's when it kind of rankled me, because I was like, well, it's my decision. Why can't I make a decision for myself? Why do I have to be allowed to do something? And so we just would keep butting heads on that. So when we went to Moment of Truth and we started talking, Kevin worked with us to understand a few different things involved in this, but really the root cause of it. For me, it had become no longer about the motorcycle itself of should I or shouldn't I. It had now turned into a matter of control of either I sacrifice myself and what I want without feeling any autonomy in that, where it's no longer my decision, I just have to do whatever is being told me. And I really didn't like that feeling, and I was really struggling with that. And Monique, you were, I would say, really struggling with fear.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's about a motorcycle, but the reason you were trying to control my actions was because you were afraid I was going to get hurt, and you were afraid of then the consequences of what could happen with that. And so talking through, we worked on how can we come up with a compromise? Can we do a timeline so that you can work through things and I can still feel autonomy? And how do we actually make sure that we're both owning up to our responsibilities within that part of the relationship, where we can't control each other. You get to control your involvement in somebody else's decision, or how much do you participate. So like, maybe I get the motorcycle, but Monique doesn't ride on the back, right? Because she doesn't have to be near the motorcycle. But it's that kind of things where we move the conversations from just a budding point about control and you're trying to control me back into more of a functional, like, is this the right thing for us? Is this a good decision? And then ultimately we agreed that at the end it would be my decision, and then Monique would then have your responsibility for how you choose to interact with it.
Right.
But just that moment of taking it from being something that had grown into this massive issue, when realistically it shouldn't be a massive issue. It's an important issue, but it shouldn't be a massive issue.
Yeah.
That was really impactful to me because it gave us tools to use in other conversations we've had since then.
Yeah.
What are we being triggered, and what's the real cause behind a fight, rather than just what's the surface fight.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think?
Well, initially when we came to Moment of Truth, I kind of wanted to fix him, because I thought that when I saw how this ministry impacted my friend, it really touched my heart because I know that he had still some struggles from some really painful things that we went through in our marriage. There was a lot of issues surrounding sex in our marriage. That's how it started, and there was like a lot of pain and bitterness, and I really felt healed from that, especially after giving birth and stuff. Like, God did a lot in my heart through all of that, and I could just still see that there was like some pain and resentment that he still had, even though our issues had gotten a lot better. He was still experiencing pain from that. So initially I thought, like, let's go and we'll get him help. And then it ended up being great for both of us. Initially I just thought, like, this is going to be a really big blessing for him. And then it really impacted both of us in a massive way. So, yeah, very, very thankful for the ministry and how it impacted us. It was really huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, I still had other things, that Kevin dealt with, that helped both of us, get beyond. But it was really cool. So it was like that was the initial why of why we came, but then a lot more came out of it. So it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up starting a marriage group, or like a group for couples, after we had went through all that, because it was so sad, because people wouldn't talk about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just heartbreaking, because I think so many people do struggle in that area,
Mm-hmm.
but no one wants to talk about sex and things like that. It's just really sad, because like I was listening to a podcast today about don't suffer in silence. And so many people are trying to be brave, and then they'll be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, because like I just want to appear that everything is okay. But the fact is, it's like nothing is okay for anyone. Like, we all go through stuff. Like, it could be okay now, but then maybe in a week we're gonna have an issue, and if we don't share those things with other people, then they can't pray with us too, and it strips the power of prayer. So